Hey, beautiful friends. It's Catherine here from Sacred Heart Alchemy. I just finished up my walk at the park, which is a park that I have walked and run in for, probably almost 30 years now. And I was inspired at the end of my walk tonight to share kind of a magical, fun story, a story about I don't know, cosmic things and magical things, because I feel like there's so much that feels unmagical and not so much fun in the world. And yeah, I was reminded of something as I finished my run today, and I mean, my walk, and I thought it would be fun to share. So, as I said, I was walking in the park where I used to run for so many years. It's a park that I lived very close to when I was married, and it was a regular, route for me to run in. So it would take me, half a mile or so on the roads to get there. And then there was a connector path, a short path between some houses. And at the end of that connector path, it would intersect with the path that went around the whole park, which is, I don't know, maybe a mile and a quarter or so. So I would often, run down the roads through that little connector and circle the park a few times and then head home and, get a 4 or 5 mile run in on average. So one day, probably 20 years ago or so, as I was stepping onto that little connector path from the road to where it intersected with the bigger path that went around the whole park, I heard a noise that caused me to look up. I can't remember whether there was it sounded like an airplane going overhead. I don't remember what the noise was. I just know something got my attention, and I looked up, and as I was looking up, it was as though time slowed down or maybe even stood still for a few minutes. And it was literally like I had stepped into another timeline. And above me, sort of clustered together, were 4 boomerang-shaped objects hovering in the air above me. 4 different colors. It was like pink and yellow and blue and green. I can't even say like how far above me they were, but they were very clear, right above me, just sort of hovering there. It was wild. And I stood there for a moment looking up, sort of shaking my head going, what the heck is that? And after, I don't know how long it was, could have been a split second or, half a minute or so, they started to move. All 4 of them, sort of in a cluster, in front of me down the rest of that connector trail. So I started running after them, or not actually running after them, but you know what I mean. I'm on the ground, they're in the air, and I'm sort of following their lead. And we got to the place where that connector path intersected with the main path. So of course there's a choice to go, left or right. I had to turn one way or the other, and they clearly turned right. So as I followed them down, I made a right turn, and this took me into the part of the path that's kind of a loop or a U shape through the woods. It's the most wooded part of this path. And it's probably, I don't know, 2/10 of a mile. It's not very long. But as I turned to follow these 4 objects hovering and flying over me, this huge hawk flew out of a tree. I didn't see it coming, but it literally flew right over me and landed on a branch right in front of me on the right side of the trail. And as I caught up with it, it flew again across the trail to the left, a tree on the left side of the trail. So here I am. And this sense of time slowing down, it wasn't standing still. Obviously, I was moving. There was motion. but it really felt like I was in a time warp, because it was like I was moving in slow motion, even though I was running, the bird was flying, the boomerangs were hovering. And that continued the entire way around this U-shaped loop at the back of this trail through the woods. And it was magical. It was like every leaf on every tree was fluorescent green, and every bird that was chirping was singing the most beautiful song, and every breeze that blew by was like, so what, rarefied is the word that's coming. Like the air was just sparkly, magical. It was wild. And that just continued for a while until I got around the loop, or the U shape. And as soon as I got out of that part of the woods, and the trail took a little bit of turn in a different direction, they were gone. The hawk was gone, and I was back on my regular run in regular time with other people on the trail. And I was like flabbergasted. And I have to say that secretly, for the last 20 years or so since that happened, every time I go there, I say a little prayer that it's going to happen again, right? Because that experience changed my life. You know, I don't know what it was. I don't know why they were there on that particular day. But I do know that it was clearly an experience of being in a different dimension, or being in a different timeline, whatever language you might want to use. And I was early enough. Oh, Tori's got goosebumps. I was early enough on my spiritual path that I kind of had it didn't completely like, what the hell was that? Like I had a sense there was something, otherworldly or multi-dimensional that had sort of shown itself to me. So it was just this beautiful confirmation that there is so much more magic in the world than we can even begin to comprehend, in our day-to-day, especially these days. As I said, there's a lot that's going on that doesn't feel so magical, although there was some magic today. And, it gets hard, and the energies can be really heavy, or sort of discombobulating. But I just wanted to share that story because every time I think of it, like I can feel myself just shift in the thinking of it and in the telling of it. And it was so clear to me on that day that Spirit was just sort of sending a message like, yep, we're here. We show up in all kinds of ways. If you have your spiritual eyes open and your spiritual ears ready to hear, and you're curious, we will show ourselves to you in whatever that might look like. And I've had, sort of similar things happen. In fact, just the other day, I'll tell you another short story. I was out visiting a friend in the eastern corner of the state, and driving home on a 2-lane road, 1 lane each direction, fortunately not going very fast. And there weren't too many cars on the road. And my attention was drawn to look to the left across the other lane. And as soon as I did, this huge owl flew up from off of the roadway. It was probably, going after some rodent on the side of the road. And my driver's side window was open. And I was like, oh, dang, that owl is about to fly into my car. And so I put on the brake slowly, and I kind of turned my wheel a little bit so I could avoid, because I was either gonna hit it, it was gonna run into my front window, or it was gonna come in the window. And so we didn't collide in a harmful way, but literally that owl passed across my entire windshield. It was crazy. And then of course I got home and had to look up the spiritual meaning of owls. And we know, from Harry Potter that owls are messengers. And this was in the daytime, and owls are not usually out in the daytime. So having an owl appear on your path in that close, and I have had herons also appear right across my windshield like that out of nowhere. So I'm always, curious about what the messages might be. And, owls are confirmation that something that you might be considering is a positive step on your path. There were lots of things that were relevant for me as I looked up the spiritual meaning of what happens when you have a close encounter with an owl. So anyway, I'm just sharing this just for something light, for something fun, to bring some magic into your evening, and to just let you know that whether you're seeing it or not, there is so much going on in the unseen world. And as you allow yourself to be more curious and more open, these things will show themselves to you, to help wake you up or shake you up, or, just give you a little nod to, yep, we see you and we're here. And yeah, that's it. That's what I've got. So I hope you enjoyed my little story. And I hope someday I will see those what do you call them? Boomerang shaped objects again, and have that incredible experience. But even if I don't, I will be grateful for the experience that I had, and trust that spirit will show itself to me in another way that will be magical and fantastical, and bring a smile to my face and my heart every time I think of it. Okay, good night, my friends. Have a beautiful evening. And I will see you again soon. Bye now.